The pantsless world of strike witches has always been a fascinating thing to exist, something that I've been following for quite some while, and it's always been a fun little kind of back and forth between some decent action, some cool little strategies as these aerial combats, and additionally the oddity is of the witch girls, the girls that just have magical powers, fly around with cute little ears, and yes, never wear pants. But as I get into the Luminous witches, my mindset's kind of shifting a little bit. Like everything that I know and that was normal within this world is suddenly being challenged, and yes, you can attribute that to my desire for pantsless girls, but it does make me beg the question of, why does this exist? Why exactly does Luminous Witches exist? But I just watched the first 2 episodes of the series that is airing in the summer 2022 anime season, and this is my thoughts on it so far. The concept of Luminous Witches opens up from 2 different perspectives, one being from the perspective of Gracie, this girl that is essentially trying to find a place for witches to go once they've retired, or the ones that just can't fight in combat. Obviously, in this world, you have these girls that are selected to be witches, having some sort of power, and they can go into the military, don these little propeller legs, and then go out to fight the Niroi. Now, the problem is that some of them aren't very good at combat. They either have terrible aim, they don't have very good eyesight, they don't know how to fly, or, again, they retire. Obviously, the stick that's been in the series for a while now is that when they reach a certain age, they lose their power, and thus they are no longer needed by the military. So Gracie desires to create a place for those people, and not only that, but to still be able to assist in the war by helping the people. Help bolster the military with their song, or bolster the people that are affected by the wars themselves. It's kind of a nice little idea from this girl to give a place for some people while at the same time uplifting other people. From the other perspective, we have the random chance encounter of 3 girls, Inori, Ginny, and Milasha. And these 3 somehow bump into each other, mainly because of their familiars somehow colliding and they bring them in, but these 3 kind of hang out for a little bit. We get a perspective of Milasha. Apparently she really badly wanted to go see one of these witches who is singing. Ginny, who is like just out from the sticks. She's like from the middle of nowhere, somehow found herself here as well, trying to find the home of this bird, this familiar that came to her that always seems to give her the broadcasting sound of those that are singing. But the 3 of them hang out for a little bit, and then eventually they have a very brief view of the singer that Milasha really badly wanted to see, and then it's revealed at some point that Ginny is one of these night witches, and that also that she's got a really beautiful voice. Well, getting into the second episode, we see that there is a call out for these witches to become a part of this singing group, and just so happens Inori and Milasha both answer the call. Obviously, Milasha really badly wants to sing with this person she looks up to so much, and Inori technically wants to go there to tell them that they need to look for Ginny, because Ginny has a great voice. I like how the whole second episode is this long interview process of all these girls that have applied, and their reasoning for applying is never that they love singing, which you would think that they want to sing, but that comes with the idea that you're calling out to people that don't have a purpose anymore. That's their only purpose they can find, so... But yes, it is funny. Inori gets up there and says, you need to look for Ginny. This other girl's like, well, what's the pay? I just need a really good paying job. One's like, I just got to ended up here. I got transferred or something like that. It's just like everybody has these dumb reasons. Oh yeah, and of course, Mila's like, I just want to see this girl again. I want to sing with this one lady. And this leads to all these girls having to wait for forever because they've totally forgot these girls are waiting to see if they're going to be able to join or not. And they have a dinner, and then they go out to find Ginny by singing out in the sky. Ginny picks up them on her ability, and then they all are reunited. Kind of just bringing the band together and music going forward, I guess. So yeah, my thoughts on Luminous Witches. This is definitely not strike witches. I can say that through and through. Yes, there's a side of me that really did enjoy strike witches for the ecchi. And Luminous Witches, none of it. Luminous Witches is not ecchi at all. It's just stupid to argue about. Honestly, I know, and there's some people going to question me here, but Strike Witches has always been ecchi combat. And now we have idol girls. That's all it is. It's just an idol show with, oh yeah, by the way, every now and then we'll have the propellers and they'll fly around for a couple seconds. But it's literally just an idol show with the Strike Witches brand name added to it, which is honestly not what I was expecting. And I think for a lot of fans of Strike Witches, you're not getting anything that you want. You're not getting flight combat. You're not getting, yes, the ecchi. None of the out-of-combat ecchi that Strike Witches had. This is literally just a bunch of cute girls together, idols. And they're bad idols at that, because none of them know how to sing, and none of them are seeking to be idols. It's like an idol show for the rejects. It's like it's like, think of an idol show where the producer just goes to some random unemployment office and says, give me all 5 of those people. And they don't even know why they're being selected for. They just brings them in because none of them can sing. But it's just an excuse to have a bunch of cute girls hanging out and singing, which, again, like I said at the very beginning, I do appreciate the concept behind Luminous Witches, because that's something they never really address fully in the original series. Yes, there's like commanders and stuff they can become, but typically the glooming thing that was always in the original series was eventually they'll get old enough that they no longer can have magic, and then they're just basically, they're not in the military anymore. There's no purpose for them. They can't fight anymore. Where this, like I said, technically they are giving them a purpose in this series, and I think that's really cool. But the last thing I really wanted from a Strike Witches franchise is an idol show, which it's fine in its own, but at the same time, we'll have to wait to see if they're going to have good routines. Is there going to be something cool behind that? My only real hope that I have is, because you've removed the ecchi, because you've removed the combat, that there'll be some really solid stories here, but I haven't really seen that quite yet. With the first 2 episodes, I haven't really seen anything but get the band together. My hope is that they can take this and give us some really solid stories. Maybe they're able to uplift fallen soldiers, uplift those that have just returned from combat. Maybe some characters have PTSD, and these characters can come in and soothe their hearts and give them a driving force to go back into combat. And again, going to war-torn areas and uplift the citizens of that area. And again, I guess it can take a different perspective from it being just fun, ecchi combat, but to a more serious position of uplifting what is the aftermath of this. We always had this go out in combat, fight Neroi, go back, enjoy hot springs, go back into combat, fight the Neroi, go back to the hot springs, but never really see too much into the... Yes, there was some cases where they did get into the destructions of the combat, the war-torn towns and stuff like that, but again, it was always from a fun, comical, ecchi perspective for majority of the time. So yes, as a long time Strike Witches fan, this isn't Strike Witches, and I think I need to disconnect myself from that. I mean, one of the jokes that I made on Twitter right when I watched the first episode was like, I can't believe I just watched Strike Witches, an entire episode of Strike Witches, and didn't have a single panty shot. But that's my point. Is like I have to disconnect that. I think I have to disconnect Strike Witches from Luminous Witches, because besides the Strike Witch's name being behind it, and yes, the propeller feet, and yes, the magical aspect of transforming with bunny ears and stuff, it's not really Strike Witches at all, really. Just, it's in their universe, but not really following those rules. Because honestly, one of the first things I really noted was, like, from what I remember from the original series, the idea of pantslessness was kind of made canon. Like, these kids actually didn't wear pants because they wanted to mimic the warriors that were out in combat, even if they weren't in the military. But yes, once you join the military, you didn't have pants. And technically, a lot of these girls are in the military, or some of them are just getting into it, and they're wearing skirts and pants. So it's kind of weird. But anyways, that's enough of me sounding pretty creepy, and I'm going to move on. But I hope you guys enjoyed this first impressions. Yeah, the other thing I would technically like to note is that the CGI is rough, and they are obviously going to use a lot of CGI for the performances, so shrug. I mean, technically the original series used CGI for like the Neroi, they used CGI for distant shots of them flying through the air, but for most of the time it looked pretty good. This one looks like they're possibly going to use a lot more CGI in their performances, and maybe even in the flying around. At least for the first 2 episodes, they didn't use CGI, but for the opening. But when they were flying around, but I think because they were in casual clothes, they didn't want to make renders just for those flying scenes. But I would expect, like, anything going forward, probably going to be full CGI for the performances and any flying, which is, again, very unfortunate for Shaft. Like, Shaft, really? This is Shaft working on this. I didn't mention that before, but Shaft is working on this show, and for the most part, it looks great. except for the performances and, again, the flying and the OP, which rough CGI. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully the music's good for a idol show. But either way, I'm always into idol shows, and I check a lot of them. And additionally, I'm into Strike Witches, even though this doesn't feel like a Strike Witches show. But we'll see. Obviously, I think this is a multimedia project, so it's obviously going to be probably selling a game or something like that. So we'll see where it goes from here. But that's my thoughts on the first 2 episodes of Luminous Witches. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment. Let me know what's the the episode. What do you think of not Strike Witches? Or do you think I'm a creep for wanting to be more like the original Strike Witches? Let me know. I guess I'll take the criticisms. I'll take them. I'm totally walking into it with this video. But additionally, if you've not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support us more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. Thanks everybody that does, and you'll take care.